When you walk down the frozen food aisle, it's easy to feel like you're surrounded by healthy choices. The packaging is bright and confident, shouting promises of low fat, high protein, and only 300 calories. It sounds like the perfect solution for a busy lifestyle, something quick, convenient, and guilt-free. But behind that promise hides a silent truth most people never notice. Many so-called healthy frozen meals are loaded with hidden sodium, sugar, and preservatives that your body doesn't need and can't easily process. They might help you save time, but over time, they could quietly sabotage your health, your energy, and even your weight goals. The biggest red flag in most of these meals is the sodium content. Frozen foods rely on salt not just for taste, but as a preservative to extend shelf life. The average frozen meal contains between 800 to 200 milligrams of sodium. Some go even higher. That's almost half of your daily recommended limit in just one sitting. You don't taste all that salt because your taste buds adapt, but your body feels it. High sodium levels force your kidneys to work overtime, retain water, and raise your blood pressure. Over time, this can lead to fatigue, bloating, and even heart strain. So while the box may say healthy choice, your cardiovascular system might be silently paying the price. Then comes the sugar trap. You wouldn't think a frozen meal needs sugar, but many brands add it to balance out the saltiness and make the flavor more appealing. Those light teriyaki bowls or sweet chili chicken options can contain up to 15 grams of added sugar, nearly 4 teaspoons. It might not sound like much, but added sugars spike your blood glucose, trigger cravings, and send your energy levels on a roller coaster ride. You feel good for a few minutes and then crash, leaving you hungry again. This is one reason why many people who rely on frozen meals end up overeating later in the day without realizing why. Another issue lies in the preservatives and artificial ingredients that make these meals look and taste fresh, even after months in the freezer. Words like sodium phosphate, mono and deglycerides, carrageenan, and artificial colorings are scattered through ingredient lists. These additives don't belong in real food, but they're added to keep the texture stable, preserve flavor, and make the product last. Your body doesn't recognize them as nutrients, so it treats them like toxins to be filtered out. This puts extra stress on your liver and digestive system, which can eventually lead to sluggishness, brain fog, and poor gut health. And then there's the illusion of balance. You see a meal divided neatly into sections, protein, carbs, vegetables, and assume it's nutritionally complete. But those vegetables are often minimal, overcooked, and stripped of nutrients during processing. The protein might come from cheap sources like soy isolates or processed chicken, while the carbs are refined pasta or rice that offer little fiber. What looks balanced on the plate is often far from balanced in reality. You end up eating food that fills your stomach but doesn't truly feed your body. The saddest part is that many people choose these meals with good intentions. They're trying to stay on track, manage calories, and make smarter choices. But they're being misled by marketing that prioritizes convenience over nutrition. These meals are engineered to hit flavor points that trigger satisfaction in your brain, salty, creamy, sweet, while keeping production costs low. It's not real food, it's a formula designed for addiction. And once you get used to that hyper-flavored profile, fresh food starts to taste bland, making it harder to return to real cooking or whole ingredients. There's also the psychological effect to consider. When you eat something labeled healthy, your brain gives you permission to let your guard down. You might assume you're eating right and stop paying attention to how your body feels afterward. But if you ever notice fatigue, bloating, or sugar cravings after a frozen meal, that's your body's way of signaling imbalance. It's trying to tell you that what you just ate isn't aligned with its natural rhythm. Your body wants whole, living nutrients, not processed imitations that just mimic the taste of health. The truth is, convenience should never come at the cost of your well-being. A truly healthy meal doesn't need bright labels or buzzwords, it speaks through its ingredients. When you eat food that's real, food that still looks and smells like it came from nature, you nourish not just your body, but your energy, focus, and mood. Frozen meals that hide behind the illusion of health may save a few minutes, but they cost you something far more valuable over time: genuine vitality. Most people don't realize how cleverly frozen meal companies design their food to give you quick satisfaction without real nourishment. It's not about feeding your body, it's about triggering your brain. When you eat a processed frozen meal, you experience a burst of flavor that feels rewarding, the salt, the sugar, the fat. But it's a carefully engineered illusion. These ingredients are chosen to light up your brain's pleasure centers, the same ones that respond to addictive substances. For a few minutes, you feel full and content, but your body quickly realizes it hasn't received the nutrients it actually needs. That's why, even after eating, you often find yourself craving more food, searching for something that finally feels complete. The secret behind this fake satisfaction lies in the ingredients. Refined carbohydrates like white pasta rice and breaded coatings break down quickly into glucose, flooding your bloodstream and giving you a sudden rush of energy. But that energy doesn't last. Within an hour your blood sugar crashes, leaving you tired, foggy and hungry again. This creates a loop: eat, crash, crave, repeat, that keeps you reaching for more processed food. It's a biological trap, and once you fall into it, it's hard to escape because your body keeps confusing calorie intake with nourishment. The sauces used in most frozen meals are another part of the trick. They're packed with artificial flavorings, sweeteners, and thickeners that create richness without real nutrition. That creamy Alfredo or spicy teriyaki sauce might taste like a restaurant dish, but it's mostly oil, sugar, and chemicals. These synthetic flavors train your taste buds to expect intense stimulation every time you eat, dulling your appreciation for the natural, subtle flavors of whole foods. Over time, a fresh salad or a simple bowl of steamed vegetables might taste boring, not because they lack flavor, but because your palate has been rewired to crave exaggeration. There's also the issue of protein. While the label might advertise 20 grams of protein, the source of that protein is often highly processed. Soy isolates, restructured meat, or fillers mixed with flavor enhancers. They don't provide the same amino acids or digestibility as real lean meats, beans, or lentils. Your body senses the difference, even if your tongue doesn't. That's why you might feel temporarily full but not truly satisfied. Your muscles don't get the nourishment they need, and your metabolism doesn't respond the way it should. It's like fueling a high-performance car with cheap gasoline. It might run for now, but it won't perform at its best. The biggest problem is that these meals give a false sense of control. You feel like you're eating something balanced because the calories are printed right on the box. But calorie counting doesn't tell you the full story. 2 meals with the same calorie count can have completely different effects on your body. One can stabilize your blood sugar, energize your cells, reduce inflammation, while the other can cause bloating, fatigue, and cravings. The difference isn't in the number, it's in the quality of the ingredients and how your body processes them. When you eat processed food consistently, internal signals start to malfunction. Your hunger and fullness cues become unreliable. You might eat when you're not truly hungry or fail to stop when you're full because your hormones, leptin and ghrelin, are out of balance. It's not a lack of willpower, it's a biological confusion caused by fake food pretending to be real nourishment. That's why you can finish a frozen meal and still feel the urge to snack a little later. Your body is still searching for vitamins, minerals, fiber that weren't present in the processed meal. Real satisfaction doesn't come from flavor intensity or calorie numbers, it comes from nutrient density. The vitamins, minerals, and enzymes that tell your body it's been fed. When you eat whole foods like vegetables, legumes, fruits, clean proteins, your body recognizes them and responds by releasing natural satiety signals. You feel full longer, your energy stays stable, your mind stays sharp. But when you rely on artificial meals, you're teaching your body to expect shortcuts. And shortcuts in nutrition always come with a price. Your body is incredibly intelligent. It knows when it's being fed well and when it's being tricked. Every bite you take is a message to your cells, either a signal of health or a sign of stress. Processed frozen meals send mixed signals, confusing your natural rhythms and dulling your connection to real hunger and satisfaction. It's not about cutting all convenience, but about recognizing when convenience turns into compromise. Once you start choosing food that's real, simple, and alive, you begin to remember what genuine satisfaction feels like: steady energy, clear focus, and a sense of balance that no frozen box can ever replicate. Walk into any supermarket and you'll see a battlefield of labels fighting for your attention. Every frozen meal claims to be the healthy choice: low fat, lean, smart, fit, keto, friendly, or protein packed. The packaging is designed with calming greens, earthy browns, and pictures of fresh vegetables that make you believe you're holding a nutritious meal. But these marketing tricks are powerful illusions, crafted by psychologists and advertisers who understand exactly how to influence your buying decisions. They know that you're busy, that you want to eat better, and that you're looking for shortcuts. So they sell you the idea of health rather than the reality of it. The truth is, the front of the package tells you what you want to hear, while the back quietly reveals what you're really about to eat. When you flip those boxes around and read the ingredients, the picture changes completely. Words like natural flavors, maltodextrin, soy protein concentrate, and modified starch replace the wholesome image you saw on the front. These are not the ingredients of a freshly cooked, nourishing meal. They're the language of food engineering. Each additive serves a purpose: to make cheap ingredients taste expensive, to keep color and texture intact for months, and to create that comforting aroma when you open the box. But what they don't do is nourish your body. They feed your senses while starving your cells of real nutrition. The biggest deception in frozen meals is how they frame calories and nutrients. Companies highlight what they remove: no added sugar, low sodium, or reduced fat, but rarely talk about what they add to replace them. When sugar is reduced, artificial sweeteners step in. When fat is cut down, emulsifiers and thickeners take its place to preserve texture. These synthetic substitutes may keep the calorie count low, but they disrupt digestion, confuse your gut microbiome, and often leave you hungrier. The body recognizes real food, not chemical imitations. It knows when something is missing, and that's why these so-called healthy meals often lead to cravings instead of satisfaction. Then comes the manipulation of serving sizes. A frozen meal might say only 250 calories, but that's often for half a tray. Eat the whole portion, as most people do, and you've doubled your intake of sodium, sugar, and preservatives without realizing it. The labeling system is designed to make you feel like you're eating responsibly when, in truth, you're being misled by numbers that don't tell the full story. Nutrition isn't about calorie math, it's about biological response. What your body does with those calories matters far more than how many there are on paper. Marketing also exploits emotional triggers. Words like guilt-free, comfort, and wholesome create an emotional connection that makes you trust the brand. You start to associate certain colors, fonts, and phrases with health, even when the product is far from healthy. It's a psychological game, and most people never realize they're playing it. When you see the word lean, you subconsciously feel lighter. When you read fit, you imagine yourself being more disciplined. But none of these words change what's actually inside the box. They're empty promises packaged in glossy design. Real nutrition doesn't need slogans. You never see a fresh apple with a label that says, heart healthy, or a piece of salmon that says, high protein. Real food doesn't need to convince you. It speaks through its simplicity. When something is truly good for your body, you can feel it. You have energy after eating, not fatigue. You feel clear-headed, not sluggish. Your body doesn't need to be tricked into health. It just needs honesty from what you put into it. The key is awareness. Start reading labels not as a formality, but as an investigation. Ask yourself whether the ingredient list looks like something you could cook in your own kitchen. The more unrecognizable the words, the less likely that food is serving your health. A good frozen meal doesn't need a marketing campaign to prove its worth. It should be made of whole, recognizable ingredients: vegetables, grains, lean proteins, natural oils. When you see long, complicated lists, that's a sign the brand is using chemistry to replace real food. The more you learn to look past the marketing, the easier it becomes to separate fake health from real nourishment. It's not about being perfect, it's about being conscious. Every time you choose a meal based on ingredients rather than promises, you take back control from the food industry. You begin to eat from awareness, not impulse, and that small act, reading, questioning, choosing, becomes a powerful form of self-care. Because the truth is, you don't need fancy slogans or buzzwords to eat well. You just need food that's honest, whole, and made for your body, not for marketing. Not all frozen meals deserve a bad reputation. The truth is, there are a few that genuinely respect your health and your time. The key difference lies in their ingredients and how they're made. When you choose meals built from real, whole foods, you're not just eating something convenient. You're giving your body what it needs to perform, think, and recover. A clean frozen meal doesn't rely on artificial colors or sodium-heavy sauces. It's simple vegetables, clean protein, healthy fats, grains that still have their natural texture and nutrients. These kinds of meals don't trick your taste buds, they fuel your body the way nature intended. The best frozen meals start with a foundation of whole grains like quinoa, brown rice, or farro. These grains provide slow-burning energy, rich in fiber and essential minerals. Unlike refined pasta or white rice, they don't spike your blood sugar. They keep you full longer, give you steady energy, help balance digestion. When you see ingredients like quinoa or lentils at the top of the ingredient list, that's usually a good sign that the meal is built for nourishment, not just convenience. They bring structure and stability to your diet, supporting your metabolism and helping you avoid those afternoon crashes. Plant-based meals that rely on ingredients like chickpeas, lentils, spinach, olive oil are especially powerful. They're full of fiber, antioxidants, phytonutrients, the subtle compounds that protect your body from inflammation and disease. These meals don't just fill your stomach, they heal your body on a cellular level. The natural oils from plants, such as olive or avocado oil, are full of healthy fats that improve brain function, boost mood, stabilize hormones. When you eat this way, even from a frozen meal, you're feeding your body information that says thrive instead of survive. Then, there are frozen meals centered around clean protein sources like wild-caught salmon, grass-fed beef, or organic chicken. These are the rare options in the freezer aisle that actually deserve attention. The protein from real, minimally processed sources helps your body repair tissues, build lean muscle, and maintain healthy blood sugar levels. Unlike processed meats that come with nitrates and fillers, these proteins nourish your system without causing inflammation. Wild salmon meals, for example, are rich in omega-3 fatty acids, the kind that support heart health, improve focus, and even lift your mood. It's proof that frozen doesn't have to mean fake or unhealthy. A good frozen meal also respects portion balance. It doesn't try to overwhelm your plate with carbs or drown your vegetables in sauce. Instead, it combines protein, complex carbs, colorful vegetables in a way that mirrors a home-cooked plate. You'll notice that your body feels satisfied but light, energized rather than sleepy. That's the feeling of real nutrition, a quiet sense of balance that artificial foods can never replicate. The best part is that it fits into real life. You don't need an hour to cook a healthy dinner, you just need a few smart choices in your freezer. These meals also protect you from one of the biggest challenges of modern eating: decision fatigue. When life gets busy, it's easy to grab something quick and unhealthy. But when your freezer is stocked with nutrient-dense, balanced meals, you remove the temptation to settle for junk. You're giving yourself a fallback plan that still aligns with your goals. It's not about perfection or cooking from scratch every day. It's about having reliable options that nourish you, even when you don't have the time or energy to cook. Choosing the right frozen meals can even teach you what balanced nutrition feels like. When you start eating real ingredients, not chemical imitations, you begin to understand how your body responds. Your energy lasts longer, your digestion improves, and your cravings fade because your body is finally getting what it needs. This awareness helps you make better decisions even outside the frozen aisle. You start looking for meals that make you feel alive, not just full. It's important to remember that health doesn't mean complicated. The best frozen meals are often the simplest ones. They rely on whole ingredients that could exist in your own kitchen: grains, vegetables, legumes, and clean proteins. No artificial additives, no mystery sauces, no hidden sugars. Just real food prepared with care, frozen at its peak freshness. When you choose these kinds of meals, you're not cutting corners. You're redefining convenience. You're proving that eating healthy isn't about restriction, but about awareness. A frozen meal can either be a trap that drains your health or a tool that supports it. The difference depends on whether the food was made for profit or for people. The choice, ultimately, is always in your hands. Health and convenience don't have to be enemies. The modern lifestyle has made time one of our most valuable resources, and frozen meals were invented to save it. The problem isn't with the concept of frozen food itself, but with how it's been commercialized. Many brands sacrifice nutrition for profit, using cheap fillers and artificial ingredients to mimic real food. But when you choose wisely, convenience can actually become an ally to your health. It's about using technology to preserve goodness, not replace it. The freezer can be a tool for wellness, a way to make healthy eating simple, accessible, sustainable, even when life gets chaotic. The first step in making convenience work for you is mindfulness. Most people buy frozen meals on autopilot, grabbing what looks appealing or what's on sale. But a mindful shopper looks beyond the packaging and pays attention to what's inside. When you take those extra 30 seconds to scan the ingredient list, you take back control from the food industry. You start to notice patterns, which brands hide sugar under names like maltose or dextrose, which ones use cheap oils instead of healthy fats, which ones actually rely on real vegetables instead of flavor powders. This awareness transforms how you eat, changes your relationship with food from passive consumption to conscious nourishment. When you make health your priority, convenience becomes powerful. Stocking your freezer with clean, balanced meals means you always have a backup plan that aligns with your goals. Imagine coming home after a long, draining day. Instead of ordering greasy takeout or skipping dinner, you reach for a meal made with quinoa, roasted vegetables, and lean salmon. It takes minutes to heat, but it fuels your body like a meal cooked from scratch. That single choice doesn't just save your evening. It shapes your health trajectory over time. Consistency in small, smart choices creates massive results. The beauty of healthy frozen meals is how they eliminate decision fatigue. Every day, we make countless decisions: what to wear, what to prioritize, how to respond, how to eat. By the time evening comes, willpower is low, and that's when most people make poor food choices. But when your freezer already holds nourishing, ready-to-eat meals, you remove that layer of stress. You've already made the healthy choice ahead of time. It's a form of self-care that doesn't demand perfection, just preparation. You're designing your environment to support your success instead of relying on momentary willpower. There's also something freeing about having healthy convenience at your fingertips. It allows you to focus on other areas of life without sacrificing well-being. You can chase your goals, manage your work, take care of your family, and still eat in a way that supports longevity and energy. The freezer, once filled with empty calories and processed junk, becomes a space for nourishment and self-respect. Every meal you store there is a quiet reminder that you've chosen progress over excuses. It's proof that health doesn't always have to mean complicated recipes or hours in the kitchen. It can be as simple as making the right purchase once. Choosing convenience that serves your health also rewires your mindset. You stop seeing healthy eating as a burden or a luxury and start seeing it as a form of empowerment. You're no longer a victim of marketing tricks or time pressure. You're someone who's mastered the balance between practicality and wellness. You begin to realize that health isn't about rigid diets or perfect discipline. It's about systems that make good choices easy. When your freezer is filled with food that energizes you instead of draining you, you create an environment that naturally supports the lifestyle you want to live. The more you build these systems, the more effortless health becomes. You stop overthinking every meal because the foundation is already in place. The power of this approach isn't just in physical benefits like more energy and better digestion, but in peace of mind. You don't have to stress over what's for dinner, you already know it's something good. This small but powerful shift frees up mental space to focus on growth, creativity, and purpose. And that's what real wellness is, not just the absence of disease, but the presence of calm, clarity, and control. Convenience isn't the enemy. It's a modern advantage waiting to be used wisely. When you choose frozen meals that are clean, balanced, and real, you're proving that health doesn't require perfection or endless time. It only requires awareness. Every frozen meal can either pull you away from your goals or bring you closer to them. The freezer doesn't determine your health. Your choices do. When those choices come from clarity, even the simplest convenience becomes a pathway to long-term strength, energy, and well-being.